Phase 7. First of all, I have to say congratulations on coming this far. We started off with the very basics, and now we're on to dealing with cameras and doing some really cool stuff. So on phase 7, we are going to be unlearning some stuff and learning some new stuff. And when it comes to unlearning some stuff, we're going to be unlearning how to design screens and learning the modern standard of how to design screens. We've been doing them the very easy, lazy way. Today, we are going to dive into how to do them the correct way, which involves designing screens that scale. Um, Today, we're also going to be dealing with app permissions, how to specify the permissions your app would need, things like cameras, GPS permissions, access to the photos, all those stuff. We're going to be learning how to specify those permissions, and we're going to be capturing photos and recording videos. Yeah, this should be a capital R, and recording videos. So let's dive into it. So up until now, we've been designing screens by dragging and dropping. Uh, our project is seed. So remember, we we click on the one with the white icon. That's the one that encompasses the the pods. So we click on the white seed. All right. So up until now, we've been designing screens by we've been designing screens by dragging and dropping views onto the interface, just like this. Remember, dragging the things we need and dropping them. That's how we've been doing them up until now. So going forward, we would stop the dragging and dropping directly on the view controller. Um, there is this quote by Bruce Lee that says, "Empty your mind, be formless, shapeless like water." So today we're going to be emptying our minds on the concept of dropping views on here, and we're going to be learning a whole new infrastructure of how to design screens. So to create screens that scale, we can't do them just by dragging and dropping. We need some constraints, some values that give context to the views on screen that would allow them to scale. For example, we created this screen by dragging and dropping. Watch what happens when I try to display this on, let's say, an iPad. Watch. Zoom this down. You see, this is the same screen on an iPad. You see, it doesn't scale. It's the same dimension it had on the phone. Let me pull up an even bigger iPad, the iPad 11. You see? So this is not ideal for production. So today we are going to be designing screens that regardless of where they are displayed, they scale. Not this, they don't stretch, they scale to that screen. That means they still look good. They still look like the designer intended. Okay, and to do this, we are going to be dealing with weights, ratios, and constraints. I will show you guys how to do that, and it's going to be fun. So just remember, empty your mind on the concepts of dragging and dropping views on screen and digest what I'm about to show you, okay? And I begin. So to create views that scale, you have to understand the concepts of view stacks. View stacks come in three kinds. One is a vertical stack, a horizontal stack, and should I say depth? A Z stack, that means the one that you overlap on top of each other. So for the V stack, you stack views from bottom to top or from top to bottom. They are vertical, like you see this one, and this one. You the views can only stack in this way. Um, when you're using an H stack, the view can only stack from horizontal. That means from left to right, or from right to left, just like you see here. So you have to remember these names: vertical stack, H stack, and Z stack. Okay, and like I said, on the Z stack concept, you are overlapping the views. Let me zoom this in. You are overlapping the views, and what we've been doing all along here was actually creating this hierarchy of views that sit on top of each other. That's why we drag and drop them. Each one actually creates a whole new layer, but you probably didn't know that because we were just playing around, right? So now you know. So going forward, we are only going to use a Z stack only when we need to actually overlay content. That's only when we're going to be using this. Aside from that, well, we're going to be using H stack and V stack. Now, before we dive into how to use these things, I'm going to introduce you to the views that are actually a V stack and the ones that are actually a H stack and Z stack in Xcode. You have to know these views because you're gonna be using them going forward, like all the time. Another thing I want you to know is that, let me show you. So I think I need to create a new screen first. Or before I do that, so a V stack. This is a V stack. It's called stack view. You see, there is a vertical stack view. That's the V stack, and then for the H stack, that's a horizontal stack view. Notice I had to type stack at the top for them to show up. You can also scroll all the way down and find them right here, H stack and V stack. But I like to type them up, stack, and they show up. Okay, so the H stack, as you can see, it's the one it's a parent view. A parent view means a view that can contain children. A button cannot contain children. It's a child view. But a parent view like a V stack or an H stack can contain views. So these are the two kinds of views you need to have in mind as you design apps. These are the kinds of views you need to understand. These two categories: the views that can contain views and the views that cannot. So the views that can contain views are usually called parent view. They contain views, and the ones that don't are usually called a child view. So this is H stack, this is V stack, and then the Z stack, you might have guessed, this is the UI view. That's this one, the UI view. That's the Z stack. This is the one we've been using all along to layer all our views at the over here. So at the root of all this is a Z stack. That means a view that a parent view that you can layer children on top of it. So what we've been doing here all along, which we won't be doing going forward, is we've been layering views on top of this Z stack and basically assigning them X and Y locations by dragging them where we want them to be. That's what we've been doing. But going forward, we have to use them correctly this time around. So there is a V stack, a vertical stack view, and a H stack, a horizontal stack view, and then a view here, view. Okay, so now that you've known about these three kinds of views, let's dive into actually using them. And by the way, everything I'm going to explain today regarding creating scalable screens, you're going to find the instructions here if you ever forget or want a step-by-step instructions on how to do it. So last time we created screen 5. This time around we're going to dive into creating another screen. So let's right click on our view controller and click new file. So we want a Cocoa Touch because this is interactive. Next, so we call this view controller 6. Next, create. And then we do the same for storyboard. Right click on storyboard, click new file, storyboard. Next, storyboard 6, and then create. Okay, and as you may remember, the first thing we do is to add a view controller to it. UI view controller, it comes up, this one, drag it in here, and it should show up here, right there. So you click it, and then connect it to the view controller class we have over here. So you click the identity inspector, click the drop down, find our view controller 6, and then copy the same name, Command C, and paste it in here in the storyboard ID. Press enter, and then check the box, use storyboard ID. Okay, so this storyboard 6 is now connected to view controller 6. We are good to go. All right. So next thing we'll do is to design a series of apps that would scale. So we're going to design this app or this interface, and then after that we will design this one, and then we'll design this one. As you can see, they incrementally get complex, but don't be afraid, it's going to be swift. I got you. So how to design a screen that scales. The main concept is, oops, I opened my notes, quit. The main concept is to, like I said, use stack views. And stack views are a parent view. So once you have the parent view, you stack views inside of it, and then you assign weights or ratios to those views, and that determines how the views are laid out. So let's dive into creating a very simple one. The first one, I'm gonna rearrange this. The first one is this simple app. So we have our main screen, and then at the center we have a button, and this is pretty much blank space next to it. So blank space, a button, and a blank space. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is look at this picture and think of how we are going to stack the views necessary to create this. So looking at this, which kind of stack parent do you think we need to create this? To create this interface. Which kind of stack parent do you think we're gonna need? I would say it looks like a V stack, because our children, where is it? Our children are aligned in a vertical alignment. So I think we're going to need a V stack for this. So after this I just did now, looking at the design and thinking of which kind of stack you're gonna need. That's the first step. So I'm going to add a V stack into this interface. And to do that, I click the plus. And then, as you might have guessed, I will search stack. and the stack view shows up. So I select vertical stack view, and I drag it into the screen. Okay, now this is the only time we are going to be doing a dragging going forward. The first ever drag, that will be the only drag we're going to be doing. That is the drag that drags into the screen, the root the root stack view. And when you do this drag, do not when you do the drag, do not try to place it somewhere very special. Just place it there at the center and let it go. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make this stack view. Let me zoom this in. Oops. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make this stack view, this one we just added. We're going to make it fill up the screen because we need it to fill the whole screen. And to do that, we click, now pay attention here, we click on this stack view. You click it either from here or from here. It's the same. I like to click them from here. You click on it, and then you click on this little guy over here called add new constraints. Okay, you click that, and then in these 4 boxes here, we're going to type in 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. These 4 boxes determine where the 4 corners of this view would be positioned. So regardless of the screen they're on. So I'm going to type 0. I'll press tab to go to the next box. Type 0, press tab again, type 0, press tab again, type 0. Now this is going to align the 4 corners of this stack view to 0.00000. Okay, so once I have them at 0, I will press add 4 constraints, or pressing enter, anyone works. So press add 4 constraints, and as you can see, the stack view now stretches to the 4 corners of the screen. Okay, great. Now that's the second step. Okay, we have our stack view ready to use. We have our stack view ready to use. So the next thing is to add these views into them. So to add these views, now this is where we think in the new direction I was telling you about. So our stack view is ready. I'm going to press the plus button. As you can see here, we have empty space, we have a button, and we have an empty space again. So we're going to need to add 3 items: an empty space, a button, and then an empty space. So to do that, to add an empty space, I like to use a UI view, which is just a regular blank view, and then you add it right under the stack view. The stack view we have up here, make sure the guide is under the stack view, not in the same hierarchy as a stack view, but rather under as a child to the stack view. So add it there. So as you can see, this is the stack view, this is the child. So I'm going to rename this and call it space. To rename, just click on the name and rename it. That is, click once and rename. Okay, then I'm going to add a button. We have a square button. I'm going to add that. So I'll click the plus button and I'll type button. I'll drag it under the stack view, but now it has to come after the space, but in the same hierarchy as the space, but as a child to the stack view. Okay, so I release. Now I have the button, and then the next thing I would do is to add another space as the third item in this. Remember when we were looking at our view stacks, we have children, and those children are aligned in a special kind of way, which in this case is a V stack. So that's basically what we're doing here. We are adding the stacks, we're adding the views that make up this stack. So the last thing we are going to add for this one is another space below here. Okay, and to do that, we're going to press the plus button and type in space. Oh, no, type in view. We are using a regular view for space. UI view. UI view. This is the view. Drag it below the button. Okay, so now we have it. All right. So now we have it. Now, before we proceed, I want to give this button a color just to help our brains differentiate what's going on. So we have a blank space, a button, and another blank space. So let's click the button over here. Notice I'm not clicking stuff here. I'm rather using this hierarchy up here. So I'm going to click the button, and then I'll click the attributes inspector. And then I would give it a background color of, what do we have here? Some kind of dark blue. No, that's, I don't know, some kind of relaxed blue. So I'll click background, and then I'll click custom color, and then I'll find the color. I think that's yeah, that's it right there. Okay, so I'll press. So as you drag here, it updates the color live. So now this is done. I can close this. All right, so now I have the button the way I wanted, the color I wanted. Now we make it look like this. Okay, so the button looks like this right now because we've added them to the stack view, the button and these two spaces. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna call this space again, space 2. Yeah, because we've added them to the stack view, but we haven't yet told the stack view how to arrange them inside. That means how to lay them out. So that's what we're gonna do now. So the next thing we're going to do after adding these buttons or widgets is to create a rule for how they are laid out. And what we want to do first is make their layout to be equal. That means we're going to assign them equal weights in this stack view. So to do that, hold the shift key, click on your child views, hold the shift key, click on your child views, and once you have the 3 of them selected only, you come down here under the add new constraint, you click it, and then since this is a vertical stack view, we're going to click equal heights because we're in a vertical stack view. Remember, it's stacked vertically, so we're going to click equal heights. Then we click add to constraints. It says to constraints because we are trying to assign constraints to 3 items. I only checked one box, just know that, which is the equal heights. That's all I did here, and then you click add constraints. So as you can see, the moment I did that, everything became equal, and now it looks more like what we are dealing with here. All right, so now we've achieved that design. The next thing I'm gonna do is just to make some changes to this button. I want the button to, the text to be bigger. Over here it says click me, so I'm gonna change the text to click me, click me, click me. Okay. I'm increase the font size, and then make it bold. Okay, so now we've achieved our design. Very good, awesome, awesome, um, awesome. Real quick, I'm also going to update this color to match this one. So I'm going to click on background. Um, I already had this color selected from custom, so I'm just gonna click it from up here. That should be this one. Nope. Guess I don't have it. Background. Yeah. Then I'll make the text color here black. So I'm pretty much just selecting from colors that are already mixed from the color palette over here. I already had these previously selected, so they're kind of like saved in my palette. Okay, so this is the design all set. All right. So now we've created this. The next thing we are going to do is create the next design, which is this one. This one. So to do this, I'm going to first of all get rid of everything we've designed. I'm going to click on our stack view. I'm going to delete that. Okay, so now we're back to square one. So looking over here, like I said, the first thing we should do is think about what the root stack view should be. What kind of root stack view should we have? Should it be a V stack? Should it be a horizontal stack? Should it be a Z stack? So remember that V stack stacks items vertically, H stack horizontally, Z stack overlaps items. Okay, so now looking at this design, I think we should do this with, we should have a root stack view of an a V stack, a vertical stack view. This is because the first item up here doesn't have anything next to it. So it's sitting there at the top, and then right below it, we have another parent view that contains two other views. So that means at the root, there are two children that are aligned, vertically. The first one is this, and then the second one is this one, which these two views are in another stack view, in this case a horizontal stack view. So we have a root stack view of vertical stack view. So that's what we're going to start with. We're going to add a vertical stack view. And then we're going to make, oh my God. Then we're going to make the bounds to match the boundaries of the screen. So we're going to type 0, 0, 0, 0, and then enter. So that makes the view to match the screen, the stack view to match the screen. And remember, this stack view was a vertical one. The next thing we're going to do is add this next parent view. We can't add a button, and we can't add another button right away. We need a stack view, another stack view that's going to hold this. So this is going to be a view, and this area is going to be a stack view. So we're going to add two views, a view and a stack view, to hold these two items here. Okay, so the first one will be the view. Oh, by the way, The reason we are going to add a view here is because this is a video player, and above the video player is a play button. So we're going to need a Z stack to hold this. We have the video player and then the play button on top of it. So we're going to need something that overlaps. Where are we? All right, so let's add our first view into this stack. Remember, we don't drop views here anymore, rather we put them into our stack view. Okay, now it's there. Let's call this video surface. Vid surface, video surface. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a horizontal stack view for these two boys. So I'm gonna press plus. And notice I'm adding this to be in the same line as the video surface at the top, not as a child, but rather as a child to the stack view, the parent stack view. Okay, and by the way, this is an error sign saying that there is an error. You can ignore this for now because we are still working on this. This comes up because there are no constraints in this root stack view here. So this is normal for now while we work on the design. But by the time we are done, by the time we add our weights, our ratios and everything, this red warning error sign should go away. So now we've added this view, and we've added the stack view that is going to hold these two buttons. It's time to assign a ratio that would determine how much screen this view is going to, how much space this view is going to occupy versus how much space this view is going to occupy. Okay, let's do that. But first, I want to add a color to our view just to help our brains demarcate what's going on. So our video surface is going to be light blue, background color. I think I already have it up here. Okay, so as you can see, our stack view is almost invisible. That's because it's not invisible, it's below here. This is because we haven't added a constraint that is going to say how we want our views to be laid out. So the next thing we're going to do is to make our views to be laid out like this. So we hold the shift key, click video surface and stack view, and then we click add constraints. We click equal heights because this is in a vertical stack view, equal heights, and then add one constraint. As you can see, things look a little more better now. This is our video surface and this is our stack view below. So this stack view, let's call it buttons stack view, BTNS stack. Okay, all right, so now we have our video surface and our button stack view. We have to make the video surface to occupy only this amount of space, while the bigger stack view occupies this space. So how do we do that? We're going to use ratios. We're going to use also called weights, all the same. So now we're going to specify a ratio of how much screen space this video surface is going to occupy versus how much screen space the button stack view is going to occupy. And to do this, we expand our constraints. Remember when we added the equal heights constraints? Xcode created these constraints for us. This one right here. Let me show you again when this came up. I just deleted it. Okay. So I'm going to select this, and then click add constraints, equal heights, add one constraint. Okay, as you can see, this came up the moment I added the constraints. All right, so I expand the constraints belonging to these two views, and then I click on it. When I click on it, on the right side over here, under identity, under attribute inspector, there is an attribute called multiplier. Again, I clicked on the constraints for these two views. I just added equal heights. Xcode generated this constraint here. Then on the right, when I clicked on it, on the right side here, it expands the attributes of this constraint, and among them there is a multiplier. Now this multiplier is what we are going to be needing. Okay, you can leave everything else as they are. We focus on the multiplier. All right, so in this multiplier is where we specify the ratio of this view to this view. All right, so in the multiplier, the first item is the button stack view, and the second item is the video surface. Okay, buttons and the video surface. So I'm pretty much going to specify the ratio of how I want this to be displayed. Right now it's 1:1. It's 1:1. That means this is equal to this. So it's 1:1 right now, which is the same as 1. So to achieve this, whereby this one is about 30% of the screen, and the bottom part is about 70%. So that's that sounds like a ratio of that would be button stack. That sounds like a ratio of 7 to 3. Let me press enter and see. You see that? So this looks like 30%. This looks like 70%. Over 100, of course. So you just reduce that to tens, and in this case we have 7 to 3. So you don't need to think about 7. You don't need to type 70. You can just say you can just do the maths between 1 and 10. In this case, 7 to 3. Okay, so if I switch places of this, in this case I'll say 3 to 7. It does the same thing, but in this case the upper part, in this case the video surface, gets 70% and the lower part gets 30%. So that'll be 3 to 7. But what we want is 7 to 3. Now you have to pay attention to where it says first item and second item, because that lets you know which ratio comes first and which ratio comes. That lets you know which ratio value comes first and which one comes second. Personally, I will just type in the ratio. If it's not what I want, I switch it out. So in this case, let's say I type in 7 to 3 and it turns out it's inversed. I will just switch it out and say 3 to 7. That means I usually don't look here first. I just type in the ratio and switch it out if it's not what I want. And flip it if it's not what I want. Okay. So we want 7 to 3. All right. So next thing, we have this done. Next thing we need to do is add 2 buttons to our bottom stack view. To do that, we click on our buttons stack view over here, and then we add views into it. So in this case, we need a button. We drag a button and put it in the stack view. Okay, and this will be photo button, photo btn, and then we add another one, and this will be video btn. Okay, so this is done. Now the next thing we'll do is to add ratios to these buttons so that they can actually lay out the way we want. And looking at our sketch over here, it looks like they are laid out proportionally. That means they have equal widths. So we're going to add weights of equal widths to them. So to do that, we select the first button and the second one, and then come over here and click add constraints and check the box of equal widths. Equal width is because we are in a horizontal stack view. Remember, a horizontal stack view is this one. So we do equal widths. When we're in this one, we do equal heights. When we're in this one, we do equal widths. So we're in a horizontal stack view. You can always tell by this, the alignment, the design of this icon for the stack view. You can always tell which one you're on. So I click on constraints, I click equal widths, and I click OK. So now, as you can see, they are equal. I'm going to now update the colors to match this. So this one is some kind of green, like mint green. Let's see. So background, I already have mint green here. You can find yours from clicking custom and selecting from this color spectrum. So and then the next color is some kind of mesh of red and pink. Let's see, I already have it pre-selected here. Where is it? Nope. Okay, I have to find it. All right, so let's see. Oops, oh, custom. Okay, there you go. Yeah, that looks like it. All right, so now we have the two buttons colors set. The next thing we'll do is just gonna make this bigger for a second. Call this photo. And then this one, video. Okay, so let me make the text bigger. On the font, increase the font size, and yes, make it bold. Do the same for the video button. Make it bold. Click on the giant T, regular, bold. Okay. Things are looking good. So we now have this. We designed. We have this designed. We have this design. The only thing remaining now is this play button. So let's add the play button. Now, remember that at the roots we have a vertical stack view inside which we added a blank view here, and then we added another horizontal stack view which contains these two buttons. Now to add this one on top of this, we simply need to layer this up. That's why we had a view which is also a Z stack. That's why we had it there. So to add the play button, we click on our video surface, and then we simply just add a button. And notice I will place this as a child of the video surface. See that? And then I'm going to change the background color first so you can see this. Let me make it blue. Not sure if that's contrasty enough. Let's see. Okay, so let's leave it at dark blue. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is next is increase the text size, change the text color to black, and then change the text to play. And then I'm going to add space to the left. Let me make this bold first. Done. So I don't like how the text is touching the boundaries of the play button. So I'm going to add a space to before and after the play text. Okay, now it looks much better. This color is not good. I don't like it. Let's see. Yeah, much better. Okay, so let's make this even bigger. Okay. So now we have this designed. We have our video surface, our photo button, and our video button all designed. Now let's test the concept out. Let's check it out on a bigger screen. So right now we are on iPhone 11. Let's check it out on iPad 9.7 and see what it looks like. You see, the screen still scales. Now let's also check it out again on an even bigger iPad Pro 11. You see the screen scales as well. Let's check it out on iPhone 4S. Okay, you see the screen still scales. Now notice that the only thing that doesn't scale here is the play button, and that's because we put it in a Z stack, which has an X and Y location that is set on stone. So in the future, we are not going to be putting items, roughly just on a Z stack. When we put items in a Z stack, we're going to be nesting those items in a stack view, so that we can actually position them perfectly the way we want them in the Z stack. So let's just let this slide for now, but in the future this will be nested inside a stack view that will match the parents of the video surface. Okay, so let's go back to our iPhone 11. All right, so we are back, and the next thing we're going to be doing is designing the next level of this screen, which is this one. So it's the same concept except that we have something at the center here. We have something that looks like another vertical stack view containing three items: a space, an image view, and another space. So that means we need to first of all add a vertical stack view in here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So we need to add a vertical stack view at the center here. Pay close attention. So to do that, I click on my button stack view, which is this stack view over here, and then I click plus, and then I drag UI stack. I drag my stack view in between my items because that's exactly how it is here. Okay, now that I've done this, I'm going to delete the previous constraints I had because I need to update it. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to click on it and I'll press backspace, and now it's gone. This is because I want to create a new one because the old one I had did not respect the presence of the new view I added, which is the stack view. So I deleted it to add a new one that would respect the new views. And to do this, I would now hold the shift key. Sorry. To do this, I would click on the first view, then hold the shift key for the other ones. So now I have the three views selected. I will click add constraints, and of course this is a horizontal stack view. So I'll click equal width and then add constraints, and as you can see, everything is now equal. Okay, good. But on the design page, it looks like the center stack view has more weight, has a bigger ratio than the views on the right and the left side. So it looks good here, but we need to give this more weight. And the way we do that is we have to find the constraints here that deals with this one specifically. So these are the two constraints that was added when we clicked equal width. And looking at the bottom here, you will notice that Xcode shows you which of these constraints deal with which view exactly. So we need to find which of them deals with this one that we need to modify. We need to make this one in the middle here bigger, right? So we need to find a constraint that deals with it. All right, so now I'm going to zoom in. All right, so when I click the first constraint, you see that it assigns a ratio, or it deals with the first view and the second view. You can tell that by these two indicators. Then the next one is, if I click the next one, you see that it deals with this view and the last view, but not this view. Okay, so we want the one that deals with this white view here, and in this case that will be this one. See that? So I'll click on that one because the view we are trying to alter is the one in the middle. So we'll click on the constraint that deals with that, and then we update the multiplier. In this case, we want it to be so this looks like a ratio of 6:4. So that means this is 60%, this will be 40%. So we're going to update that ratio, which is this one, which is currently at 1. We're going to update it to 6:4. Press enter. Let's see. Looks like it, but looks like this one still has more space. So let's do 6.5 to 3.5. That is, I'm pretty much just increasing the value a little bit. So this is 65% to 35%. Okay, so I'll press enter. This is 6.5 to 3.5. Okay, so I press enter, and then I think I have something that now looks exactly like the design. Awesome, awesome. So this is set. The next thing I'm going to do now is to add the views that are going to be inside this stacked view, just like the design. And again, now this looks like a blank space, an image view, and another blank space. So to achieve this design, we are going to add a blank space in our vertical stack view, an image view, and another blank space. So let's do that. So we select our vertical stack view. Press the plus button, and then find the UI view, which is what we're using as a blank space. Okay, and then we need an image view. Image view. Add it. Remember, it has to be in the same line as the view at the top. All of them are children of the stack view, which is this one. Okay. All right. Then one last thing is to add another space. In this case, we're using a UI view for space. So, okay. So these are the three views we just added. Now, the next thing we'll do is to add some constraints to them. In this case, a constraint of, looks like they're all equal, right? Let's do equal heights. So let's start off with doing equal height. So hold the shift key. First, you select the first view, then hold the shift key for the next views that you need to add the constraints for. That way, the three of them are selected. So click add constraints, and then click equal heights. Okay, it's looking good, looking good. So now we don't need to modify the ratio, because equal height automatically adds a ratio of 1 to all of them, 1 to 1 to 1. Okay, unless you want to be very specific. Otherwise, this is the equal heights we specified. So we don't need to modify the ratio. We only need to modify the ratio manually when we really want to, create something that is more than just equal height or equal width. Okay, for example, if you look closely on this design, this photo view has a slightly bigger width, aka ratio, compared to this blank space at the top and the bottom. So to achieve that here, we would find the constraint that has to do with this UI image view. Let's find it. So it's this first one, and then we would go to the multiplier at the top right here under attributes inspector, and then we'll modify it. So this looks like it's I would say 5.5 to 4.5. So 5.5 to 4.5. You see that? And then I press enter and it updates. All right. So now we have our image view and our blank space at the top and the bottom. So should I let me update the colors so you can so that they can match the design. This is not really necessary, but let me just do it. Okay. Background. Okay, and then the UI image view is as it is. So this is a replication of this design we have over here. And as you can see, we were able to do this using weights and ratio multipliers. With this concept, with this technique, your views are much more accurate. You remember over here when we were on screen 5, we had our views were kind of like not so, they were not so in line in a way. But with this concept I just showed you, everything is laid out perfectly, and this is the way to go. So with that said, let's dive into the next step in this phase, which is capturing photos, recording videos, permissions, connecting a physical device to Xcode, background threading, and actually capturing the photos and displaying them, recording videos. So, capturing photos, you know what capturing photo means, and you know what recording videos means. It's a common feature on every phone these days, every smartphone. But to achieve these on a phone, the app would ask you for permissions. Hey, can I access your camera? Hey, can I access your mic? And this is something you have to manually add to the app itself. And you do this by adding permissions. Permissions are the things you specify in an app to let the user know that you are going to be using some sensitive modules in their device. So for capturing photos and recording videos, we're going to need some camera permissions. And those permissions look like this. This is what they look like. Okay, camera usage, key privacy value, key privacy value. So let me show you. So to add, let's say, this camera permission, this first one, you go back to Xcode. I will click on info.plist, this one here, and then at the top here, I'll click plus, and then the permission I'm trying to add is camera usage permission. So so I click plus, and then I would scroll down on this pop-up and find the camera usage. It starts off with privacy, camera usage description. You see that? And then I click it. Okay. Now the next thing I will do is I will specify the reason why I need this permission. By clicking on the value, I'll click it and say to capture selfies. This can be anything. It doesn't have to be. It can be anything. So now I have the camera permission specified. If I want to add this other one, photo library usage permission, I would go through the same process, which is click on this plus button at the top. If you bring your cursor there, you're gonna see the plus button come up. Click there, and then the permission we're looking for is photo library. So Notice it starts with privacy. So we're looking for privacy. Okay, so I'll scroll down to privacy. We're looking for photo library. Where is it? Right there. Okay, and then I enter the reason why I want to access this feature, which would be oh, by the way, you don't have to do this. I'll show you a much easier way to do this. So the reason to access this is to, let's say, store store pictures in camera roll. Simple. All right, so this is how to add permissions. Sometimes you will be working on an app and you need to Google which permissions are needed. When you see those permissions online, this is how you add them, or should I say this is one of the ways you can add them. There is an easier way to add this, which is to edit the raw file, and I will show you that way now. Before I do that, I'm going to undo everything I just did. Okay, I undid this so I can show you another method of adding the permissions. Okay, so this is the raw code for adding the permission that we're going to need. We're going to need permission for GPS location. We're going to need permission for microphone for this app, permission for photo library, and then yeah, these 4 permissions. So I'm going to copy this code. I'm going to copy everything here. Right click, copy. Not this one, not this one, this one. Okay, and then I would right click on info.plist, click open as source code. All right, and then right under this first dictionary, I'll press enter and then paste what I just copied. See, this is what I copied. This is what I just copied. This would add the same permissions, but just in a much faster way. So now I can close this down, and when you open it again, info.plist, you right click on it and click open as property list. That would show it as the normal one you're used to. So these are the 4 permissions we just added via code. You see, it's much faster. That's why I prefer that way. So to do this, just copy this code, right click on info.plist, click open as, click source code, and then paste it in under dictionary. Okay, and then the next time you open it, you click open as property list and you should see everything. All right, okay, so that's permissions. The next thing we're going to deal with is actually how to use the camera on your iPhone to capture pictures and videos. Now, there are 2 ways to do this, and I'll show you both ways. The way iOS does it, like the way to do it in iPhones by default, and the easier way using open source libraries. So let's first of all go over how Apple does it. Now, Apple, the default way, remember this course is designed to show you how to create apps the easy way. So that means we skip everything that is hard and rather do those things the easy way. So the default way of doing this is using AV capture photo outputs on iPhone, using the class AV capture photo outputs. And this is pretty much what you have to do. you initialize the class, and then do all these setups, and then do all this other setup to capture your photo. But this is complex, so we're going to do it the easy way using a library called, by the way, again, it's done with a class called AV captures. Not this one, sorry. It's done with a class called AV capture photo outputs. Okay, just you need to know what is happening behind the scenes as we go ahead to use the easier library. Just know that this is the class used behind the scenes. So an open source library I like for taking pictures and videos is a library called Camera Manager. Camera Manager is just another great library out there that turns complex stuff and makes them easy. So this is how we take a picture in using this library. First of all, we initialize Camera Manager. We assign a preview surface to it, that is the camera preview. And then we use this code to capture pictures and use this one to capture videos. It's really that simple. So the first step is to initialize the camera manager. Second step is to say, hey, I want you to show the camera preview on this UI view, and then you call this code camera manager.capture picture to capture the photo, and then once it's done, it would supply you the image data in this onSuccess block. And then when you want to capture a video, it's the same process. You say start recording and then stop recording when you desire. And when you say stop recording, it supplies you the video URL in the block. It's really that simple. So this is why I said there really is no need to do things the hard way when there is an easier way to do it. So that's why I'm sharing these goodies with you. So let's dive into it. So the first thing we're going to do is make our screen launch. Remember, this is a new screen we created. So from our first screen, we are going to connect a new button, screen 6 button. Let's see, so main.storyboard. So this will be our screen 6. Remember, we are done with this method, but we're going to continue using this dragging method for the rest of screen 1. But remember, going forward, you have to use stack views to make things much more organized. Okay, so this will be screen 6. And this will be camera and weights. Weights means assigning ratios to your views. We're gonna make this bold. I'm gonna make it black, text color. Okay. Okay, so next we are going to connect this button to our screen. I'll click this lines at the top, click assistance. Yep, looking correct. So I'll drag our button inside here, and we're going to call this screen. Why is this? Screen 6 button clicked. Okay, so this is done. Now I can close this down, and then I'll copy this code because it's really the same thing. I'll copy it, and then I'll change this to 6, screen 6, storyboard 6, view controller 6, and it looks good. So now I would run the app. But before I run the app, let me show you something real quick. Sometimes your app or your project can be reporting wrong errors, especially when your project is some kind of big. Sometimes you would see Xcode saying there's an error which doesn't look right. One thing to do is to click product and then click build. That means to rebuild the project. Sometimes it helps. And sometimes when the error persists, you can do product clean build folder. This removes all the build caches and it helps refresh things. Kind of like when you click refresh on a web page. This is like clicking refresh on Xcode. It helps. And sometimes this build won't work. The clean folder won't work. You might have to completely restart Xcode. And sometimes, in rare cases, you might have to restart your computer. I'm just telling you this so you know how to troubleshoot your programming journey. This is good to know. So start off with build, then clean build folder. You don't have to do this now. I'm just telling you because we haven't done anything too complex to get Xcode to start boiling up. But it's good to know. All right, and you access that from product and then build or clean build folder. All right, so let's run this app. We've connected the storyboard 6 to our view controller. So let's run this app and view this blank screen. I'm running on an iPhone 11. So it's launching. Okay, so camera. All right, so everything looks okay. Everything looks okay. I think I have to change the color of this just to make it look different. And I need to add the border to this. All right, let's do that real quick. So this one needs a border. So border width would be like 3. Border color black. On this one, border width will be 2. Same here, 2. And border color will be black as well. Black. Then for this one, same thing, border width 2, border color black. Okay, remember because this because these options were added manually by us as an extension, they're not gonna show up here live on the screen. Rather, they would show up in the app as it runs. So I'm going to run to see the changes we just made. Okay, so these are the changes. I think it looks slightly better. Um, okay. Um, so this is our video player, our photo button, our image view, our video button. Okay, let's go back. So the next thing to do is to import this library, this one, the image library we're going to be using, which is the camera manager. And to do that, we're going to scroll down to import instructions. And this is the pod we need. I'm going to copy this. Nope, not this one. Uh, so this is the pod we need. We can copy this, but hey, I need to make a quick reminder. Sometimes in GitHub projects, you see a pod and you see an option to install a Swift package manager. Swift package managers are usually faster to deal with, so I usually prefer to use them when I see them instead of using a pod. Um, but to remind you, when you want to do the Swift package manager, which is actually the future, you just copy the GitHub URL specified by the project. In this case, it will be this one. To this one, and then you copy it. I'm just gonna show you real quick. Copy it, go to Xcode, click on File, Swift Packages, Add Package Dependency, and then select your project, in this case seed, next, and then you paste in the URL, okay? But for this project, I'm going to add it as a pod, okay? So I'm going to copy the pod. I'm going to copy this, copy. And remember that you go back to your Xcode projects, you click on pods, expand it, click on pod file, and then paste in the pod. I'm going to press Command S to save. This is not really necessary, but you know. So save it, and then you can also do file, save, but I think it happens like behind the scenes automatically. Uh, so now I have to open up the terminal to actually download this pod. And to do that, I'll type here terminal. Comes up, I click on it. I'm going to make this bigger. View bigger. Okay, so remember our project is saved in our documents folder. In this case, I'm going to say cd documents. I press tab, it automatically completes. cd iOS, enter, cd seeds, cd seed, press tab, it completes, and then I'll say pod install. Okay, everything looks good. Now I'll go back to my project, and I should see camera manager right there, so it's already there. It's that fast. Okay, so I can close this down, and then let's go back to this writing the code for this. So this app is a simple app. The goal is to Press this button to capture a photo, and the photo is displayed here. Press this button to capture a video, and then when you want, you press the button again to stop recording, and then that recorded video will be displayed here. It's really that simple. So this button captures the photo, it displays it here. This button captures the video, it displays it here. And meanwhile, this view will also be the camera preview, as well as the video player for when the video is played. Sounds good? All right. So let's go ahead and connect this button, this button, this view, and this image view to our view controller. All right, so going to click assistant. Going to hide this. I'm going to get rid of these comments. I don't need them for now. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is the capture photo button. Okay, so I hold on the control key, drag it into here, capture photo button, that's what I'm calling it. I'll press connect. I need to rename this. Photo clicked. Yeah. Capture photo button clicked. Okay. And then do the same thing for this one. Record video button clicked. Record video button clicked. Capture photo, record video button clicked. Then our image view, we would add this as an outlet because it's not a button. So we add it at the top here. Drag. We'll call this photo image view. Okay, and then wait, I think we need to, yeah, that's fine. And then this one, our surface view up here, where we're going to be rendering our videos. I'm going to name it the same thing as the snippet. On the snippets we have, it's called my blank surface view. I'm going to copy this, my blank surface view. So the reason I called it my blank surface view so that it matches the snippet we have. Connect. I'm also gonna rename this one, the image view, to be test image view, just to match our snippet. So I'm gonna right click, refactor, rename. Test image view, enter. Okay, so now we've connected this one, this one, this one, and this one, all up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. So now the next thing we're gonna do is to actually code up everything. The first thing we're going to do is to import our camera manager. So I'm gonna say import. camera manager, and then we're going to declare the variables for our camera manager. In this case, we are going to be needing a camera manager variable, and we're going to be needing a variable to know if the camera is recording or not. Okay, so to do that, we're going to declare var camera manager, which is of type camera manager, equal to and then we're going to declare a variable for checking if it's recording. We're going to need this not for photos but for recording videos. Okay, then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to need a function that loads the camera manager and initializes the Boolean state for the recording. And to do this, we're going to create a function called load camera view. I'm going to copy this. So in this function, there are going to be three main things, which is initializing the recording Boolean, the camera manager, and then adding it to the surface view. I'm gonna close this down. Let's see. Okay, view controller 6. All right. So I'm going to add our function at the bottom here. So these I put this here just to remind you that you need to add those permissions, otherwise your app would crash. These are comments, I'm getting rid of them. So the first thing we did is in this load camera view function is to set up the Boolean, which we use to track if the camera is recording or not. Then the next thing is to initialize the camera manager, and then set up the camera manager to add the preview layer on top of my blank surface view. As a reminder, my blank surface view is this view over here. Okay. So now that is done, the next thing we'll do is set up the photo capture function. I'm going to copy this, photo capture. Now the photo capture function, what it really does is just captures the photo. But first it would set the mode for the camera to be photos. It sets it in photo mode, which is basically saying camera manager dot camera output mode equals to camera output mode dot still image. This is a very necessary line of code and must be done, otherwise you're gonna have errors. So we set this up and then we call the camera manager dot capture picture. And then once we have this done, we now have to handle our picture in the case for .success. Usually this would rarely happen, probably to happen when you don't have the permission specified, or when you're running out of memory. But most of the time it should be a success. And then once that happens, we deal with the image. It passes an image in, and then we grab that image from this contents parameter, and then we set it on our image view. The image view is this one we have here. Where is our simulator? This is our image view over here. So we press the photo button, it captures the photo, and it sets it on the image view. So that's what this capture photo function will be doing. And then we have our start recording function. So the start recording function really does what it says. It has a parameter of a boolean that specifies if we are starting this recording or ending this recording. If it's starting the recording, it sets the camera output mode to video with mic. This is very essential line. There are other options like video with mic, video only, still image. So for recording a video, obviously we want it with the mic, so we say video with mic, and then we say camera manager.start recording. If we're ending the recording, that means when this is false, we'll say camera manager.stop recording, and then it passes in the video URL of where it saved that video. And then from that URL, we'll now play the video on the surface view. This is a check to know when there is an issue, maybe like saving the video or something. This is a guard that checks for that. And if that happens, this line of code will not run. So the next thing we're going to do is to import the function that will be playing this video on our video view. In this case, our surface view. So this is the function. The last function we have here. We import this. All right. So before I go ahead and explain this, we need to import some stuff. I think it's AV Foundation. Imports AV Foundation. Okay, we need to import the class for this. I remember we had done this function that plays the video on the surface view. It's exactly the same function we had when we played the video from the web, which is storyboard 5. So let's see what we had imported there. I'm discussing this error. AV kits. So let's bring that in and see. Imports AV kits. Okay, so the error is gone. All right. Okay. So now this is the function that plays the video that we just recorded on our view, our video player. So remember, we record a video and then the video gets played here. So to do that, we have our surface view, which is a regular view, this one. Then we do the same thing we did on the other phase, which is create a video player and then pass in the URL we want. Then pass this video player into a modular player view, and then place this modular player view onto our blank surface view, which is this view over here, to make that our video player. And of course, start playing the video. So this is the same thing that this function does. So that's why we call this function in here, to play inferred video. So once the video is done recording, when we call stop recording, it passes in the video URL into this function, which plays the video at the top here. Okay. Now let's write the code that is going to actually make these things happen. Remember, we have a button to capture photo and capture video. So the first thing we should do is um, when we say capture photo and capture video, we would do a quick check. If our camera manager is equal to new, we would load the camera view. Okay, which is this function here. So we're checking if it has been initialized yet. If not, we'll load the camera view. And this function also adds a preview layer to our surface view. So I'm going to copy the same code and I'll put it in our record button as well as the first line of code. So after the camera view is loaded, the next thing we want to do when the capture photo button is clicked is to capture the photo. Okay? And then when the record video button is clicked, we want to record the video. So we're going to call the start recording function. Okay? And to do that, we would say start recording. Now we have to pass in the boolean for whether or not it's recording. So, and to do that, we'll just pass in the same variable we have up here, is recording. So if it's not recording, we'll pass in false. If it's recording, we'll pass in true. If it's true, it would stop recording. If it's false, that it's recording, it will start recording. So by default, after we call load camera view sets it to false. That means we will pass in an inferred false if it's the first time. So we don't need to hard code this. We can just pass in our variable is recording into this function to start recording. Where is it? So now when this button is clicked, it will call load camera view and start recording. All right, so let's see, we have two buttons, capture photo, record video, load camera view. All right, so everything looks good. There is nothing really to initialize in our view did load, just the camera and video. All right, now we have the code for the buttons and displaying the video on the video player and displaying the image on the image view. Now we have to talk about something else that has to do with app development. And in this case, it's why we're not going to run this app. I mean, I can run it, but I'm not going to click any button because it's going to crash my app, and I will explain why. I'm not going to click this button or this because this is a camera app and the camera deals with a camera that is on a physical device. Now this is not a physical device, so this would not work. This would crash. Okay, so that's why I'm just explaining without clicking these buttons to do the video and the photos. It's going to crash because this is a simulator, not a camera. So to actually test this app out, you would need a physical device. You don't have to have one, but if you have one, it's great. That means you can test this app out. And to do that, I'm going to run you through how to do that. So to connect your device, your physical iPhone to Xcode, you need a USB cord, connect it to your phone and connect it to your phone and then connect it to your laptop's USB port. Once you do that, you're going to see a pop-up on your phone that will say, hey, do you trust this computer? You say yes, check yes, select yes on your phone that yes, you trust this computer. Then Xcode would connect to your iPhone automatically. And to know that and to view that, first you're going to now see that option here. You're going to see the phone among the phones you can connect to. And then when you click window, you would, and you click on devices and simulators, you would see the device you just connected via USB cord to your computer. You see it there. Now, there are a few more steps you need to go through before you can run this app on a physical device. So like I said, the first step is to connect your phone to your computer via a wire, a USB cord, and click yes, I trust this computer. The next step is to run the app. When you run the app, um, you are going to get an error, which is normal. The error would say, give me 1 second. So when you run the app, you're going to get an error. The error would say could not launch app. But that's okay, don't panic. Just on your iPhone, which is still connected to Xcode, open up the settings app on the phone and click on general, and then scroll down to device management. Once you get to device management, click it, then click on your developer name, which was inferred through Xcode to your phone. So click on your developer name and then click trust. So once you click the trust, and then you go back and run the app again to run on the phone you selected. Of course, you should select your physical device here. When you click run, it will now run the app without any issues. So these are the steps. If you need to go through these steps again, they are here attached under connecting a physical device to Xcode instructions. It's really straightforward, but just remember that. So the first time you run the app, it's going to be it's going to say could not launch. You now have to go into the settings and say trust. And all that instructions is here. It's really straightforward. So once you've trusted everything, you would be able to see your iPhone displayed. The iPhone connected will display here, and at this point you can check this box up here that would say connect via network. This would allow you to connect your iPhone to your computer wirelessly without having to be tethered to a cord. Be tethered with a cord. This is really straightforward, and also you can now take screenshots by clicking take screenshot from Xcode. When you do take a screenshot, for my computer, it shows up on my desktop. It shows up on my desktop. Shows up on my desktop somewhere here when I take a screenshot. So this can be a really convenient way for you to do your testing. It's really the way to go. But again, you don't need an iPhone, a physical iPhone. It's only when you are dealing with parts of the app that your computer cannot replicate, like the camera. That's when you need these aspects of a physical device. So the app we just worked on, everything looks good. There are two buttons, capture photo and capture video. It's really straightforward. If you follow these steps, you should be able to have yours just working perfectly. And the video file path will be supplied to you in the capture video callback, which is here. This is the video file path. You can do anything you want with it. You can copy and paste it anywhere else. Also, the video will show up in your camera roll. And while using this app, pay attention to the pop-ups that iOS will pop up on the app that would say, do you want to grant permissions? Of course, you click yes. So, and yeah, everything should work fine. But for this particular lesson, I can't click these buttons because there are no cameras that's the simulator can access. All right. So with that said, today we've went over recording videos and displaying it, capturing photos and displaying them. Background threading, we haven't gone through that. So background threading, so you know how we talked about Z stacks? So when a code is running on an iPhone, it's running on the foreground, which is the app. It's running on the thread of the screen you're currently looking at. So let's say you click a button, the code in that button runs on the UI of the screen you're looking at. Um, it runs on the UI of the screen you're looking at. Now, background threading means running codes in the background. That means um, if this topmost stack is the screen you're looking at, when you're running codes in the background, what that means is that the code won't run on this first thread. It will run on the background thread. It will run on the thread behind the screen. That means the background code does not interrupt the code running on the foreground. You can have layers of codes running in the background. But the reason why this is a thing is because let's say you need to process the user who is scrolling through content on the UI. At the same time, you need to download new content. You will probably do this in the background. That way, the download doesn't interrupt what's happening on the main thread, because the main thread is what the user sees. You don't want that to be finicky. You don't want it to be interrupted. It has to be smooth always. So that's why there is foreground and background in threading. Most of the time, in most cases, with the codes you would write would run on the foreground. But if you start building more complex apps, they will need to run codes as well in the background, like when you are loading images, downloading images, or something like compiling a video, things like that. Um, so yeah, that's background threading. Now let me show you an example or a quick usage of it. This app, when the video stops recording, it stops recording in the background. Okay, then we say play inferred video. Then the play inferred video function, it brings that code back to the foreground, which is the main thread of the app, and then plays it on the video player. This is because, pay attention here, you can't alter the UI from the background. You cannot. It's a no-no in multiple platforms. It's a no-no. When you want to make changes to the UI, you have to bring the code to the main thread, that is to the UI, in order to make those changes. If you want to make a button disappear and make a button move, you can't run that code in the background thread. You have to bring that code to the foreground before you run the code. That means you can't make a view move or change anything that is visual from a thread that is in the background. You have to come to the foreground to do that. So that is why this code here, using this purple line, brings this rest of these codes in its enclosure to the main thread in order to run it, in order to play this video that we just recorded. Now, on iPhone, this is how we run a code on the main thread. To run a code on the background, there are ways of doing this, and one of those ways is, you don't need to worry about this class. I just have it for demonstration for now. One of the ways to run a code in the background is by saying dispatch_queue.global, and then you type up all this stuff, and then you pass in the code that you want to run in the background. It's all done with the dispatch queue class. If you want to run a code in the main thread, it's just like you saw it, dispatch_queue.main.async, and then you pass in the code you want to run. There is also the cool aspects of dispatch queue that lets you set the time. Like, I want this code to run 3 seconds from now. I don't want it now. You can always set the delay of when you want that code to run. You can also do the same thing for codes that run on the main thread by setting the delay and then the code runs. Um, so this is just something to keep in mind, that it's possible to run codes in the background, and there are times when you need to run them. Times when you can only run a particular code in the foreground. Especially those times are when you are trying to make changes to the user interface. That is what the user is seeing. So that is it for background threading. We won't be needing this much in this course because this is a focused course. But we did use it here in when we are bringing the recorded video to the foreground to play it. That's why we have this line of code, because it runs the below code on the UI thread. Okay. So today we've talked about background threading. We've talked about connecting a physical device to Xcode. We've talked about setting up the camera library pods, iOS patterns versus open source libraries, permissions, capturing photos and recording videos. And we've talked about designing screens that scale. This is very necessary to know. So remember this, and I will catch you in the next one. We're almost there. We're almost there. This is phase 7. We're almost there. All right. Catch you in the next one.